The secret weapon of every high achiever isn't a massive to-do list. It's a series of simple, non-negotiable routines. You're trying to achieve structure with accidental habits. We'll show you the core psychological purpose behind the rituals that guarantee elite performance. Let's really deconstruct the science behind how the world's most successful people operate.
It's a huge paradox, isn't it? We picture these creative geniuses and top performers as masters of just pure spontaneity. But the truth is, the greatest innovators are often the biggest creatures of habit. They understand this fundamental principle of psychology. Our brain power for high-level thinking is a finite, really precious resource. So daily rituals aren't about restriction at all. They're actually a structural defense system designed to protect your cognitive energy for when it really counts.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack that surprising truth behind the performance paradox. Then, we'll diagnose the hidden energy drains that are sabotaging you every day. From there, we'll build out a powerful framework with 3 core rituals. And I'll even show you the neuroscience, why this stuff literally works on a biological level. And finally, we'll get practical. A simple 3-step plan for you to implement this system and unlock the big takeaway, the structure of freedom. Let's kick things off with this idea that just flips the whole concept of productivity on its head. The performance paradox basically says that real creative and intellectual freedom comes from, well, rigidity. Think about a pro athlete. They don't just wander onto the field on game day and hope for the best, right? No way. They have a strict, almost fanatical routine for everything. Their food, their training, their pre-game warm-up. That structure is what gives them the freedom to perform at their absolute peak, to improvise that game-winning play when it all comes down to it. It's not about having an empty schedule, it's about building a system so solid that your brain doesn't waste a single drop of energy on nonsense. The key to high achievement isn't doing more, it's deciding less. Okay, so let's move from the idea to the actual diagnosis. Every single day, there's this invisible force just draining your willpower, killing your focus, and pushing you toward burnout. And look, this isn't just a feeling, it's a real physiological process. We're about to put a name to the 2 main culprits that are crippling your performance before you even get to the important stuff. Seriously, have you ever asked yourself this? You wake up, you're fired up, you have a clear goal, maybe you're riding that caffeine high, but then lunchtime hits and you just feel scattered, exhausted, and the idea of tackling that one big project, it feels impossible. Let me be clear. This is not a personal failing. It's not a lack of discipline. It is a predictable, scientifically understood phenomenon of cognitive overload, and it happens to pretty much everyone who tries to operate without a system. Sound familiar? Okay, culprit number 1 is something called ego depletion. Think of your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that handles decision-making and all that heavy thinking. Think of it like your phone battery. It starts at 100%, but every single choice you make, no matter how small, drains that battery. What should I wear today? A little drain. What am I going to eat for breakfast? Another drain. Should I check my email or start that report? Whoa, that's a massive drain. Without a routine, you force this high-powered part of your brain to work overtime on a constant stream of low-value choices, leaving it totally wiped out right when you need it most for your deep, creative work. And then there's the second saboteur, the cortisol spike. See, a lack of structure creates uncertainty, and your brain reads that uncertainty as a threat. What does it do? It pumps out cortisol, the primary stress hormone. I remember this one huge project I worked on. I had no daily plan, and I'd wake up with this knot in my stomach, totally unsure of where to even start. That constant low-grade anxiety? Yeah, that was cortisol. And cortisol is the absolute enemy of focus. It puts you in a fight-or-flight mode, making it physiologically impossible to do calm, rational, deep thinking. Your own body is chemically blocking you from performing at your best, all because you don't have a routine. So, we've diagnosed the problem. Ego depletion and cortisol spikes are draining your cognitive fuel tank. So now let's install the solution. This is a precise 3-part framework, a non-negotiable protocol designed to systematically shut down those energy drains and automate your path to peak performance. These are the 3 pillars of the entire system. Think of your mental energy like a bank account. The conservation ritual, that's like making a daily deposit, protecting what you've got. The transition ritual is like making a planned, high-impact withdrawal for your most important work. And the closure ritual, well, that's like balancing the books at the end of the day, making sure nothing's leaking out overnight. Together, they create this perfect, closed-loop system for managing your most valuable asset, your attention. So how do we start protecting our mental energy? The entire point of the conservation ritual is to stop the bleeding. You do this by deliberately getting rid of trivial choices.
Think about Steve Jobs in his black turtleneck, or Mark Zuckerberg in his gray t-shirt. It's not about fashion, it's about function. By automating decisions like what you eat for breakfast or what you're going to wear, you're offloading those jobs from your energy-guzzling prefrontal cortex to the automated, low-energy part of your brain. You are literally saving your best brain power for your best work. All right, next up, the transition ritual. This is your launch sequence into deep work. See, the human brain absolutely loves cues. A transition ritual is just a short, specific, repeatable set of actions that acts as a powerful trigger. For example, my ritual to start writing is to close every browser tab, put on my noise-canceling headphones, and play the exact same instrumental track, every single time. It's like a psychological on switch. It leverages the power of the habit loop to completely bypass procrastination and just tells my brain, okay, it's time to focus, now. And finally, and this one might be the most overlooked, is the closure ritual. This is your mandatory end-of-day shutdown. Without a clear end to your workday, your brain just never really clocks out. It creates this mental fog that psychologists call attention residue, where unfinished tasks just keep bouncing around in your head, causing anxiety and preventing real rest. A closure ritual, like cleaning your desk and writing down tomorrow's top priority, signals to your brain that it's okay to detach. It closes all those open loops, letting your mind fully recharge. Okay, we've covered the what. But to really get you to commit to this, you need to understand the powerful changes it's making inside your brain. The effectiveness of this whole system is backed by solid clinical proof, and it's all rooted in how our brains manage energy and form habits. So what's really happening here? This slide shows the two key players in your brain. On the left, you've got the prefrontal cortex. Think of this as the driver of a car, consciously making every single decision, steering, checking the mirrors. It's brilliant, but it's exhausting work. Now, on the right, you have the basal ganglia. That's the cruise control. Once you set it, it handles the routine task of maintaining speed effortlessly, which frees up the driver to focus on the road ahead. Rituals are all about systematically shifting tasks from that exhausted driver to the super efficient cruise control. You're not just managing your time, you're literally managing your neurology. And this chart just perfectly illustrates the result. Look at the bar on the left. That's a typical day without structure. You start out strong, but by 3 p.m. you're running on fumes, maybe at 30% capacity. Now look at the right. With rituals, you see this sustained high level of mental energy. You're still operating at, say, 85% capacity late in the day. The difference is staggering. You just have so much more cognitive fuel left in the tank for the work that actually matters. So let's just boil it down. What are rituals actually doing for you? Well, first, they defeat ego depletion, saving that precious willpower. They create a psychological anchor, which lowers that stress hormone, cortisol. They harness the incredible power of the habit loop, making execution feel effortless. And over time, with repetition, they literally strengthen the neural pathways in your brain, making high performance your new normal, your default state. All right, theory and science are done. Now we shift into pure application. I'm going to walk you through how to go from just understanding this framework to actually building it, starting tomorrow. This is your no-nonsense, actionable plan to install this system in your own life. Ready to build your performance system? Let's do it. It's just 3 clear, manageable steps. That's it. First, we install your conservation ritual. Second, we design your transition ritual. And third, we implement your closure ritual. Let's make this real, right now. Okay, your first assignment is super simple. Grab a piece of paper or open a new note on your phone. Write down all those tiny repeated decisions you make before you even start your real work. Now, just circle 3 to 5 of them you can automate. Food is an awesome place to start. Decide right now what you're going to eat for breakfast every weekday. Boom, done. Clothing is another easy win. On Sunday, just pick out 5 workout fits for the week. That one decision frees up so much mental space every single morning. Step 2, design your trigger for focus. I want you to architect a very specific 5-minute launch sequence that you will do every single time before you begin deep work. And it has to be physical. It could be clearing your desk, pouring a glass of water, closing your door, and opening the one specific program you need. This isn't just getting ready to work. This is a physical command you are giving your brain to shift into a state of high focus. So what's your launch sequence going to be? Finally, step 3. You must commit to a 10-minute shutdown routine. This is absolutely non-negotiable.
At the end of your workday, spend 10 minutes preparing for a clean break. Physically clear your workspace. And here's the most important part. Write down the single most important task for tomorrow. By getting it out of your head and onto paper, you give your brain permission to stop thinking about it. This lets you psychologically detach and properly recharge. We've gone from the problem to the framework to the science and the implementation. So let's bring it all home now for the final core lesson of this entire system. It really all comes back to that paradox we started with. This right here is the ultimate takeaway. True freedom, the freedom to think deeply, to create something new, to perform at your absolute peak, is the direct result of disciplined structure, not the lack of it. Daily rituals solve the huge problems of decision fatigue and emotional volatility. And why that matters so much is that they give you a systematic way to conserve your executive function for the high-value work that actually moves the needle in your life. Look, your conservation ritual is how you prevent ego depletion. Your transition ritual harnesses psychological cues to launch you into that flow state. And your closure ritual cuts down on the chronic stress that sabotages your recovery. Just remember this: productivity isn't about doing more. It's about mastering systems that make focus effortless. Now it's your turn to go design your 3 core rituals and take control.